Hey guys, welcome back. I am still racing against the clock to get this fish wheel in the water. Today I'm going to try to attach the wheel to the floats. I'm also going to try to implement a few of your suggestions, so let's see how it goes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get together some of this 1.5" pipe I had kicking around. Luckily I didn't have to buy it. I'm going to see where I want to hard mount it. I'm not sure if I want to hard mount it in the float itself or on top of the float, and then we'll get that up. I'll probably make some sort of little frame here that we can attach a boat trailer winch to, and we'll be able to raise and lower this. We're going to want to keep this wheel about 6 to 12 inches out of the water. So I'm going to start by pulling this plywood off here. We'll get back inside it. We'll get it a little more watertight. We'll probably throw a coat of house paint on it. We'll get all the mounts set up in there. We'll cut some foam, put that in there, and then we'll see if we can get this wheel mounted. I'm not really sure what this pipe was used for. It was just laying on the ground, but this is going to work great. Sure. If I run this in the float, I'm not sure I'll have enough length to get the wheel up high enough so it doesn't hit the bottom of the river. I have some longer pipe here. I was hoping to use pipe on both sides and then tie it together with some lumber. It holds water, that's cool. That's a good sign. Water got in there though. Okay, a few of you had some suggestions on how to make these a little more tight. One of them was Flex Seal. I thought that was a great idea, so I picked up a few cans of Flex Seal, and I'm going to spray the seams on the inside of the pontoons. Another one of them was exterior house paint for the outside. I thought that was a good idea as well, so I picked up a gallon of exterior house paint. I'm going to flip these over, paint the outsides. While those dry, we're going to go pick some berries for dinner because the berries are just coming in, and then when we get back, I'll flip it back over and we'll start working on the inside. Amy picked out this color.
It's a little lighter than I thought it would be. It's supposed to be a dark juniper.
So for those of you who are new to the channel and don't know what a fish wheel is basically just a big wheel that sits on a couple pontoons. It rotates with the river's current, and as the salmon swim upriver, they get caught in the wheel. These chutes, we'll toss them into a basket. We'll check it about every 10 hours, and that's how a lot of subsistence fishermen will get their fish. Not just for themselves, but a lot of times once you get your year's supply of fish, you'll lend it to a neighbor or anyone else who wants to go down and check it, and then they can get theirs as well. There used to be a community fish wheel up here, but for one reason or another it no longer exists, so we'll build our own. I have about another week or so that I can work on this and get it in the water, and I'm really rushing to do that. I have to start preparing for moose season, and this is our first time hunting in this area. It's our first year at this property. We've moved up here from the Kenai Peninsula, so some of the biggest bulls in Alaska have been pulled from right here, but the last few years have been slow. I know a lot of really good hunters that haven't got a moose, and we've had some pretty harsh winters up here, as well as, you know, there's a lot of wolves, and I think they kind of pick off the calves. So hopefully we get one. It's really important to us that we do, and there's going to be a lot of effort that goes into it. So we're going to have to go out, set up camp, scout some different areas, probably in a lot of these mountains behind our cabin. So we'll ATV out and then pack the rest of the way, set up camp, and then hike off and kind of see what we see. But yeah, really want to moose this year for sure. And I got about another 100 fish I'd like to get before the year's over too. So, you know, if we can't get reds, then we'll go for silvers in the fall. The silvers run all the way to September, and they don't make it up this far, but we can take our net and we can go down to the canyon and we'll get them there. So there's been a grizzly bear hanging around, and Birch is a little on edge. She was up all last night barking. It's been hanging out in front of the house here. You can see where it's been laying down over there, and I don't particularly like to shoot them. I don't really like to eat them, but if they become a problem, it's just kind of what you have to do, because they'll just keep coming back once they find food. And I know a few of our neighbors have had their smokers broken into, and there's a creek down there that has a salmon run, and I'm pretty sure the bear's coming from that creek. But yeah, we'll deal with him if we have to. Hopefully he just moves on. He hasn't bothered any of our stuff yet, so hopefully he keeps it that way. Okay, we're gonna let that set up, and while it does, we're gonna jump on the ATV, head out back, see if we can find some blueberries to go with our salmon for dinner. Oh, sort of green.
Got some? So the berries come a little later in the interior, but they're going. We're gonna try to beat the bears to them. Oh, there's a bunch. Green, getting there.
Okay, we're just a wee bit early here. We got a few, but not quite enough for dinner. Just enough for Lena. There is thousands upon thousands of green ones though, and it's a fine line, so it won't be long before we can come out here with a few 5-gallon buckets. There's lots of bullets, but the ones out here are a little buggy, so we're just gonna let those be, and we're gonna get back to working on our fish wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this cable out of this wood. Not sure what this was used for either. This was just sitting on the back of our lot, but what we're gonna use this for is shore ties. So I'm gonna put some eyelids in the front of these pontoons and in the rear of the pontoons. And this cable is what we're gonna use to anchor it to shore. This will be perfect for this. I think this will hold this thing just fine. There we go. We got shore ties. Okay, I'm gonna dig out some old 2x4s here. I'm gonna mount them inside the pontoon to the front. We'll drill a hole through them, we'll put an eyelid in, and that's what we'll mount our shore cables to. Start with this. Well, if no one was watching, I just smashed this in with the hammer, but because you all are watching, I think I'll trim it. I'm trying to make these things as light as possible, but I also want them to be, strong, because the river is pretty fast flowing, and I don't want to get this thing in the water and it just tear apart. And that's why it's really important that this wheel's mounted correctly, because if it's not, this thing will just break apart in the water. I've actually seen one do it. We had some pretty high water this year, and there was a few of these down there, and one broke right apart, and the guy had to drag it out in pieces. Okay, I'm going to clean the inside out a little with the rag, spray some Flex Seal on the seams. Then I'm going to start trying to hard mount these 1.5 inch, 2 inch pipes in here. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and mount them inside the pontoon and then cut the cover around them and seal it. I think it's gonna be better than putting them on the outside. I think it will give it more strength. The only thing, it will make it more difficult to disassemble it, but that's okay. We can screw and unscrew them from the mounts. I got floor mounts for the pipes, so I think that's how I'm gonna do it. I wanted to mount them on top of the pontoon themselves, but I'm just a little worried with the torque of the water that it might break off, so we'll do it this way, that way it won't break. Okay, I got these pressure treated posts. I'm gonna mount these to one side of this block I have in the center of the pontoon. And then on the other side, I'm gonna mount a bottom mount that these pipes can thread into. The wheel will slide up and down on that pipe, and I'll put a boat trailer winch with a pulley mounted to this, and we'll make like a little archway. And as you winch up, you'll be able to raise and lower the wheel. There's probably a better way to do it, but this is the best I've come up with, you know, just what I have here, so it's gonna work fine. Yeah, I want it at least that tall because you're gonna, you know, you gotta remember these baskets when you spin this basket around, these baskets are gonna go way into the,
yeah,
you know, that would be feet below the water. So this is actually gonna sit, you know, up here. So that will work. Strengthen this in here now. We'll get a pressure treated, I think I got another post over there, and we'll cut some bracing sections. The top of these don't really matter because it's gonna be a brace. You know, it's gonna be braced from there to the pipe. And the pipe will be hard mounted in the float. Okay, I was gonna mount this down in the pontoon, but kind of thinking about it, ease of assembly and disassembly, I think I'm gonna take this out, take those boards out, and I'll just mount it to the top. There should be plenty of support here between the two to hold this thing together. I don't want to overthink this too much. A lot of the Alaskan natives will just put one of these together with spruce poles, and this is a lot fancier than what a lot of folks use. So I'm just going to take those out, take this off, and mount them beneath the plywood, and then I'll screw this this floor mount into that. Spray foam that, and then we'll cut the bottom pieces. Okay, I'm unfortunately not going to have enough foam to fill these. I'll have enough to do the bottoms of both. So what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put the tops on these. I'm going to kind of mock mount it, get my rigging all set up to raise and lower the wheel, and next time I'm in town, probably in the next few days, I'll probably go on Facebook Marketplace and see if I can find some just used foam, those big foam cubes. Or a really good idea would be to fill it with spray foam, but I don't really know how much money that would be. I know spray foam's fairly expensive, but I mean, these cans filled quite a bit of it. I put this mounting bracket here to originally mount the wheel on. I didn't really think about it being offset, so the wheel's actually offset itself, so I had to change how I'm gonna mount it a little bit. I had to move it back, and I didn't want to take that one out, so now I have two, but whatever, it's not gonna hurt anything. That one's full of foam, that one's full of foam, so I think we're gonna be pretty good here. I don't think there's too much more here really to finish this thing. So I'm gonna mock up the tops, see what my mounting bracket looks like, and all I really need now is some foam. I have the cable. I got a few more pieces of foam for the bottom of that one, and I gotta put some paddles on it, but we can just make that out of whatever we have. You know, it could be a piece of plywood and a couple 2x4s, and we'll just use some U-bolts to mount it to the wheel itself, and we'll put a brace across this to the pipe, put some carriage bolts through it, and we'll put our boat trailer winch there. I'll drill a little hole here, and that should raise it up and down. I think it's gonna be better to raise it up and down like that, just because you probably wanna pull on it from the center. I think it would be too much force to try to pull on it at an angle like that. So we're gonna have to, we'll liquid nail all this stuff down when we're finalized with it.
Yeah.
I want to be able to screw and unscrew this pipe. So I'll mount something up here, and then we'll get our winch. I got some pulleys over there, and I think I'm going to pick up off this point, and that way we'll be able to raise and lower it, and you'll be able to adjust either side. But something like that is exactly what I want. I'm gonna cut this about high, this high. So I'll mark that, and I'll cut this. I'll get a little more foam. We'll get that mounted. I gotta go to town and pick up a boat trailer winch. And I don't really need too much more to finish this thing. I basically have everything. We'll space the pontoons, we'll mount them together, and just these paddles. This thing's pretty cool. Really gets it, huh? Okay, now I gotta start lining up where these floats are gonna sit. This is gonna be the difficult and crucial part of this. We don't want it sitting all crooked. This is gonna take a lot of measuring and a lot of kind of figuring, but we're getting there with this thing. I wish I had more foam. That's all the foam I got. I just need to fill these. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy foam cubes or if I'm just not gonna fill these with spray foam. I was a little worried about the volume of spray foam that I thought I was gonna need, but I mean, there's really not that much space there, so it probably wouldn't be too much, and that'd probably be a better way to do it than cutting foam board, but 1 inches roughly. Okay, I got this about where I want it. This float's gonna have to go in just a little bit that way. These things are getting pretty heavy. I'm gonna take these poles back out. I'm gonna cut them to level with those 4x4s there, those pressure treated 4x4s, and kind of make it a little more manageable. This thing, if it falls over, it will knock you unconscious. I think it's gonna work. I'm not really sure. It's gonna be real interesting when we put this thing in the water. it might just blow apart. And don't want that to hit your knees. Everything has to be squared and everything's basically crooked, so we'll do our best. It's 20 now. I'm just gonna put a screw in here for now. It's definitely I'm gonna have to take this all back apart, but just to hold this in place, and then I'm gonna get the other side to look just like this. It's just about where I want this to sit. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna work on the front board and the rear board that connect the two pontoons, and then I just need to put some paddles on it, and I gotta make a basket for the fish to shoot into. That's something I really have to figure out. I'm probably gonna build the basket and then I'll just let it sit there and we'll see where stuff launches to, and we'll put the basket there. There's gonna probably be some tweaking that goes on with that, because you know, as it picks them up, it's gonna toss them out, and I'm not really sure where it's gonna toss them exactly, so. To really square this, I'm actually going to have to lift the wheel up, but let's just get this. Let's cut it. Tack this here for now. Okay, this thing is coming out cool. We're actually pretty close to done. We just got to finish filling the floats with foam. We got to get the rigging up there to raise and lower the wheel, a couple paddles on there, and a basket, and that's that. Then we can try to lug this big heavy thing down to the river. But I'm gonna have to go to town for a few things for this, mainly the boat winches that I'm gonna need to raise and lower it. But it's about 7 o'clock and we are all starving, so we're gonna head and have some dinner. So we had a water leak here in the fire truck. I was able to fix it. I'm gonna put a little more antifreeze in it for what we lost. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. I got a few good leads on some hoses for this thing in town. So I think I'm gonna pick those up this week, and then we should be ready to go down and try to fill this thing up. Pretty cool, we were able to register this thing, and you don't really need much to register it, because in this part of the state, if you're using it within the park or for accessing a remote cabin or for hauling water, the registration's pretty straightforward. It didn't really cost us anything, so it's ready to hit the road. Peter, get up, seen better days.
Now we know what the oil problem is. Right.
Okay, you want to go start it, Lena?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Kind of high. Okay, what do you do first? Go for it, Lena. Okay. Okay, let's go have some dinner.
Yes.
Pretty red. Mmm.
We don't want that one.
And maybe a little more lettuce, right?
Yeah, I love lettuce.
Birch is waiting. All right, we are just going to fry up one of our king salmon fillets here in some tallow. Gonna do some greens from the garden and a piece of sourdough buttered and toasted. Maybe some of our smoked goat cheese too.
King salmon.
Make good progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to get that thing in the water.
Get it turning away. It'll be a family fish reel.
When the mosquitoes relent during the summer, this place is like heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
It's about 9:30 at night, and we still have to water some of our plants and
Yeah.
milk the goats, so
Yeah.
we're gonna call it a night.
Hey guys, this is Amy and Dennis from Holdfast, Alaska. We are a small family living in the eastern interior, building a subsistence homestead.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video, and we'll see you on the next one.